You speak as well as you write, and both were rather engaging and of course very informative. I think I've been doing a bit of traveling very recently, and two books that I'm swapping between or switching between. One is The Spy Stories by Adrian Levy and Kathy Scott Clark, and the other is yours, right? Corporate Frauds, Bigger, Broader, Bolder. And I must compliment you for the level of research and rigor that you've gone through. If I look at the references of all the chapters, it's amazing the kind of effort and time you spent on it. What drove you to it? I think you got three books, rather similar, rather linked in a sense with each other. What drives you to author these books?
I write books on negative topics. Who wants to write? First book is Who Cheats and How Business Frauds. The next one is Who Blunders and How Business Mistakes. And third one is on corporate fraud, which is the topic of discussion today. Long time back, maybe 6-7 years back, I found that many of the balance sheets and profit and loss accounts are incorrect. Based on that, you do business, you take deals, you buy shares, and you will be surprised to know how many of them are incorrect. So I wanted to write a book on accounting frauds, and only to realize that the world is so that the accounting fraud is just a subset of the total fraud which are going on around us. Everyone, most of the books are on successes. No one writes on failures. So my books are on failures, and the undercurrent what we face. So personally, I know I'm not going to live too long, and I believe whatever I've heard and done so far, if I can somehow put it down for all of you to hopefully know that the world which we see, which is bright and which is the bright and colorful, in reality, the underneath is not so good. It is, in fact, horrible and horrendous. The more you see, the more you realize that that's what is happening. Just imagine an entrepreneur like Nirav Modi, who used to sell diamonds to all of you. He had to steal 14,000 crores over 7 years, and no one knew about it. The auditors, the Reserve Bank, the bankers, no one knew about it. For 7 years, 14,000 crores that he stole. So yeah, that's a word. It's unfair.
Great. So I think there's a quote in your book which says that there are some people who like to sleep peacefully, and there are some people who would like to enjoy their daytimes. And I guess that's where somehow my questions linked up this whole idea about why is it that some people possibly get into these kinds of practices? What drives them? What's the psychology behind this whole thing?
Yes, it's a very, I try to understand psychology of a fraudster. There are some books, but I think there is no one place where most of the psychiatric issues have been captured. But let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, what I believe are the psychiatric issues. The first issue which drives a fraudster, it could be a fraudster, scamster, thief, whatever you can call, is greed. Greed to do something, greed to acquire more wealth, greed to do things faster. Greed is the overwhelming problem in many people's mind. Be careful of that. Next point, in short I would say, because you can have questions, answers, I presume, because it's a very vexed topic, who doesn't know about frauds, and is rationalization. We rationalize a decision. Sometimes we say, "Arey, wo karta hai, main nahi kuch karta na." My boss is making a lot of money. So I can do a little chori. The cashier runs service thinking boss is very rich, so I can also be rich. Rationalization. Next is opportunity. Opportunity hai, why not? For instance, all of us here are law-abiding citizens. We are driving the car, and you find there is a red light, there is red and you know there is no policeman, and you know there is no camera. Opportunity hai, chale jata hai. So we take opportunities. If, for instance, a fraudster, they know that nobody is checking, there is no accounting system, I am collecting the money on behalf of the customers. पूरा घर ले जाते हैं opportunity. Means another is ulterior mindset. Ulterior mindset is different from greed. Greed is to achieve something fast. Ulterior mindset means I have ulterior motive. There are people who commits a fraud, commits a crime, and sleeps peacefully in the night. Nothing happens. Some of us will not even be able to see blood, and they commit maybe a murder through a knife. Mind. Very difficult to understand that person's mind, ulterior mind. And the last one is peer pressure. वो कहते हैं मैं नहीं करूँ. Peer pressure means if somebody else is doing well, I am a small village or a town or a city or whatever. If my friend is doing well, I need to also do well. What is Satyam fraud? Satyam fraud was nothing else but he found that companies like Wipro and Infosys and TCS is becoming much larger. Satyam was not becoming Ravalinga Raju. His drawing was not becoming large. In the area of IT, companies give orders for these customers place orders where the company is big. That means he is so big he will be able to supply and manage my back office tomorrow. TCS is big, let me give orders to TCS. Wipro is big, let me give order to Wipro. Nobody was coming to Satyam computers. So what did Satyam to Ravalinga Raju do? He had 5 crores. In his cash balance, he has 5,000 crores. He had sales of 500 crores, he made sales 50,000 crores. So everyone in the world, my goodness, itna bada company hai. Let's give orders to them. Peer pressure. So if I may summarize for you, you would have heard now too many things, so I'll give you an acronym for that. First is greed, G. Then is rationalization, R. Then is opportunity, O. Then comes U, which is ulterior mindset. And the last one is peer pressure, P. GROUP. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, this summarizes the underworld of the whole mankind. If these 5 characteristics, if anyone has, God help you, please be careful of these GROUP. You'll be much better off, you'll be able to sleep peacefully.
Very well said. So, if I just get into a little bit of technical detail from the book, and I think there's, like you said, more than 300 stories that you spoke about, well researched. There's a concept of phantom capital that you speak about. You know, this whole idea of, at times, investment not necessarily being to the level that we are obviously projecting it to be. And you talk about phantom capital in the context of that. Can you explain that, please?
Simply speaking, because time is essence, phantom capital is, you have sometimes noticed that India has a lot of FDI. What paisa? But this money is coming from where? Where is the money coming from? Are these genuine investors putting money into India? Or is it ingenuine? Large quantum of money comes from a country called Luxembourg. Luxembourg, uska pura GDP है 1 trillion. They invest apparently $10 trillion. कहाँ से? Because Luxembourg as a country has low or zero tax. Now, this is one source of money which comes from nations which has less tax intensity. That means money will be coming from, well, let's say, Dubai maybe, or from sources which are inappropriate, goes to Luxembourg, comes to India. Very nice. That's very good. That's one money. But many of the thing is, money goes out of India, coming back from Ghaziabad. That means we will show the money investment, and the investment comes back. So many of the investment which you see in the world, and many of the investment which you notice, are phantom in nature. वो है नहीं, वो हमारा पैसा वापिस आता है. Money which perhaps ought not to have been invested has come here. Most of these investments happens in the space of stock market, not FDI. For permanent investments, foreign direct investment जिसको बोलते हैं, that is mostly accountable and not phantom. It can be phantom. FDIs can be money going out of India and coming back. It can be, and it does happen. And therefore, whenever you see a number of investments taking place, take it with a pinch of salt to try to trace where did the money originate from. Unfortunately, technology even today doesn't exist to catch them. But that's the truth.
I wouldn't want to argue with you because, ladies and gentlemen, he has the holy trinity of being a chartered accountant, cost accountant, and a company secretary. So I think a lot of your technical details around the finance side, I think very well elucidated, in your book. Now, I know that you have a certain orientation, or let's say you're not necessarily a fan of the Bitcoin or the cryptocurrency world that we see at the moment. Any thoughts that you might have?
You have raised a topic which now whole night, but let me tell you, many of you may not agree to what I'm now going to say. Bitcoin, cryptocurrency, is a fraud on all of us. It's a big fraud. Let me explain to you. Maybe in 3 to 4 minutes you shall agree. And if you don't agree, please don't raise a question, because many of you may have invested and many of your children or friends are investing. First of all, we say cryptocurrency. What is cryptocurrency? It is not a currency. First, it is not a currency. What is a currency? Currency is something which you can keep in your pocket, in your wallet, go to a Starbucks, buy a coffee. Can you take a cryptocurrency and buy a coffee? No. That means it should be universally acceptable. Cryptocurrency is not. It's not universally acceptable. Second, it has to have stable value. A Bitcoin, which was $64,000, then became 30,000, became 50,000, today it's $16,000. How can? So if you have a Bitcoin, I'm giving Bitcoin because that's the largest cryptocurrency, and others, Ethereum and so on and so forth. What value? कभी भी कुछ भी होता है. So it doesn't have stable value. Most important, ladies and gentlemen, a currency value of a currency. What is the value of a currency for information? If I give you a dollar has no meaning here. You will go to a bank, exchange it, and today you will get 82 rupees. How did 82 come? Why not 80? Why not 90? It depends upon demand supply. So any value, anything which you buy in the world has a value. Any value is demand and supply interaction. चलो अभी Bitcoin के interaction demand supply को सोचने पे बात कर लेते हैं. Do you know who buys Bitcoin? Who buys? That demand. If you know who buys, that is demand. And none of us know who buys. Who is buying? Data देखा कभी? Bitcoin का demand? क्रिप्टोकरेंसी का डिमांड कभी देखे हैं? तो डिमांड तो है नहीं, आपको तो पता ही नहीं है डिमांड क्या है. तो जिसका डिमांड आपको पता नहीं है, तो हाउ करें फिर करेंसी? चलो आप बोलो ठीक है डिमांड नहीं है, तो सप्लाई तो होगा ना. What supply? Who supplies? Do you know how much is getting supplied in the world? How much is getting done? Bitcoin they say 2023 we will stop. Who knows? Bitcoin नहीं है तो दूसरा कुछ आ जाएगा. आया भी. There are more than 1,200 types of cryptocurrency which is in the world. It used to be much larger, now थोड़ा कम हो गया. But there are thousands of people who are creating this currency. So how can you have a currency who you don't know who is the demand and you don't know who is the supply? Demand supply पता नहीं है. अब बोलते हैं उसको पीछे भागो. $16,000. Why $16,000? Ladies and gentlemen, it's worth zero. Cryptocurrency is worth zero, not $16,000. They say no, it's blockchain technology, and that's the problem. टेक्नोलॉजी के हवा में हम लोग को सब उल्लू बना रहे हैं. क्या टेक्नोलॉजी? ठीक है, आप बोलेंगे ब्लॉकचेन टेक्नोलॉजी. व्हाट इज ब्लॉकचेन, लेडीज एंड जेंटलमैन? आई नो इट्स नॉट अ टॉपिक ऑफ डिस्कशन टुडे. ब्लॉकचेन इज ऑल अबाउट मेंटेनिंग ledger. Let's say you buy something and sell something else. There are 12 other people who will keep a control of all this buying and selling. Then you will say, "Acha, I have written buying and selling. He has written buying and selling. सब ठीक है. Online buying selling दिखते हैं." तो they thought this so-called transaction written on blockchain through automatic methods can be used in a big way. For instance, there is a possibility that in hospital, the biggest asset of hospital is the hospital bed. If a bed is remaining empty, that's a value destroyer. So blockchain can maintain exactly at what time a bed is getting vacated. That is possible. But they couldn't figure out a method to use blockchain in our daily life. Still now it has not been tested, by the way. All that what you hear so far is all hanky-panky, by the way. So they say, let us invent a currency. Chalo, currency invent kar diya. Bitcoin naam kar diya. That is how it all started. But then what? It has no demand supply. It has no stability of value. It has not large acceptability. The question is, who buys bitcoins? Who buys cryptocurrency? Ideally, you will say, no, people are trading in because of speculation. That cannot be a reason. Okay, speculation cannot be a reason. But they are saying you are buying and selling because you cannot have audit trail. That's not true. Your computer will have an audit trail. So audit trails are there. 90% of cryptocurrency is used for terrorism, drug trading, arms dealing. You can't, that somehow a drug, let's say, drug reaches India, but how will you send the money? Okay, cryptocurrency, drug aa gaya, paisa gaya. That is underworld, fraud in humanity. Ladies and gentlemen, do not touch cryptocurrency. It is the biggest technology fraud which is going on. It is actually worth zero.
So for those who want to make their payments and transactions, please hold on for some time. Some expert guidance might be useful. So I think a lot of the stories that you have in the book, there are about large corporations, and some corporations obviously it's very surprising that they are part of that book. But there's also individual orientations, right? The individual aspects of unethical behavior. Now, where do we start solving this? So, possibly as an academic here, I'm just trying to see from an idealistic perspective, what do we do now? Or have we lost the race? Have we lost the cause? Are there ways and means by which we can possibly reduce this?
When we talk about corporate frauds, corporates can't be frauds, can't commit frauds. Who is a corporate? You and me. So it's the people behind. And that's the mindset or psych of GROUP, which we discussed. Will it ever get solved? Answer is no. How can it be reduced? Can it be eliminated? Greed and rationalization, opportunities, and unsound mind and peer pressure will always be there. It will never get solved. It has always been there for thousands of years. It will continue to be there for thousands of years. The only way to reduce, I feel, in the world of corporate frauds, I'm not talking about political frauds, nothing to do with politics. In the world of corporate frauds, the only way to reduce it, naming and shaming. If mera naam aata hai, and it is mentioned that I have committed a fraud, then I shall be shamed to do it again. And naming and shaming is not being happening in the world. You have heard of corporate frauds, frauds taking place in many organizations. How many actually the people who committed have been caught? Of late, India has done a fair good job, started with Vijay Mallya. Of course, he has not been caught, but he has been put into enough naming and shaming. There is no question. Earlier, it was not happening. Slowly, the world is moving towards naming and shaming, but it needs to be faster. If we can do that, one thing, naming and shaming, hopefully, the world will be in a better place for us and ours.
Thank you. I think that's quite elaborate. I'm sure a lot of the people in the audience today have something to say about the topic that we are talking about. Very intriguing, very exciting. Anyone would like to ask any questions, please?
So you are saying, will the CBDC ever succeed with the central bank digital currency?
No.
No?
What is central bank digital currency? CBDC. CBDC is a currency created by the government of India. It is the Bank of India. What is cryptocurrency? Cryptocurrency is created by a boy who has a computer in his room and has no locus standi whatsoever. There is no control over how much cryptocurrency can issue. But when CBDC gets issued, there is control that this is the amount of CBDC I'm issuing. What's the difference between crypto and what's the difference between the current payment system which you have got? Today, I can use my Paytm, I can use my mobile to make a payment. So this payment from my mobile goes to the central server and goes to you. What is CBDC? It will go directly. If I have a CBDC account, you have a CBDC account, it goes to you directly. Dr. Bhatkar gets you directly. And it's controlled. So if the company, like as you know, today in the country, total currency is 32 lakh crore, which is the current currency available in the country. The government will say 2 lakh crore, I will do CBDC, 30 lakh crore, हम currency issue करेंगे. क्या होगा? कुछ नहीं होगा. CBDC is not a solution. Because CBDC or similar currency which the governments are trying to think is not a solution, they have not been able to move, the IMF has not been able to move to make a global solution to this because there isn't no global solution. We have to understand today or tomorrow that this is a fraud and we should stop dealing with it. Please tell your friends and relatives and your children, don't touch it. Only when we stop touching it, the world will be.
And Robin, may I ask, what about tokens which have underlying assets? is there a value to them? Or, you know what I'm saying, tokens that I have said, real estate as I said, or equity in a valuable company as I said.
If a token has an asset backed, then it has value. But CBDC has asset backed because that's a currency of the government, so it will have value for sure. Cryptocurrency has none. People have actually said, अच्छा gold तो हो सकता है ना, gold तो cryptocurrency के जैसा है, but gold का demand supply होता है भाई साहब. उसका demand भी पता है, supply भी पता है. कहाँ से supply होगा, किसको demand होता है. Only Indian and Chinese women buys gold. Foolish we are. Nobody else buys. 90% of gold ornaments are bought by Indians and Chinese women. That's the demand, and we know what the demand is. And if tomorrow Indian women stops buying this, how much balance of payment will solve? Be as it may, if there is an asset back, it will have value. But because crypto has no asset backing, it doesn't.
So why is then crypto still, people have hopes? I mean very wise people who have so much hope of CBDC, who have so much hope. Of course, blockchain is transformative to technology. You know, it has applications in every sector. But why still there's so much, there's a charm of the unknown, maybe somebody will come and save us and that's crypto, you know what I'm saying? Why does it have legs?
This is the intelligence of the people who have designed it. They are so intelligent, they can fool you and me through this hawa of smoke of technology. Blockchain technology से होता है. क्या होता है? कुछ नहीं होता है. Do not touch something which you don't understand. That is Warren Buffett's.
I'm on the advisory board of a blockchain company. I'm going to resign.
Oh my goodness.
I'm going to resign tomorrow.
So I got the first customer, right?
I think he first clarified his doubts and then he mentioned this. Any other questions? So I think there's one aspect, being a marketing academic and marketing psychology and how we tend to market at times. There's a company faces that question of whether they should be raising the price of a particular product or slowly or in a way reducing the quantity a little bit so that the prices don't go up. The price remains the same to the consumer. Where would you put that in your book?
I'll give you a story. Just now, I know time's up. You can hear, huh? Give you a story. Have you heard of a company called Dabur? Yes. Video record. But it is in the public domain. They adulterated honey just when the pandemic. What is honey? It creates our immunity. Okay, it's an immunity booster. The world's largest honey exporter, and they say the purest honey. And it was caught by a central agency saying that they were adding sugar into honey. Why the hell should you add sugar? Honey costs 250 rupees. Sugar, in any case, honey sugar. Thoda aur shakkar dalna. 1 rupee worth of sugar you will add. They were adding Chinese sugar. Well, maybe they say rice sugar, but whatever it is. And if you are adding 1 rupee, make that 250 rupees honey to 251. This is exactly what you're saying. You don't want to increase the price, but thoda kam de dete quantity. This is what they did. Honey mein thoda shakkar dal dete hain, import karke, price वैसे रखे. Hey, make that 250 rupees to 251. What will happen? Why should Dabur, Vaidyanath, Patanjali, all of them have done it? Corporate governance, ethics, and honesty has no substitute. It might pain you in the short term, but it will always give you return in the long term. Think of Unilever 150 years, Coca-Cola 100 years, Walmart 150 years, all these companies. They must have done it here and there, but they have all gone in the path of good governance. Do not make the short-term views, because short-term profit leads to long-term destruction. And there will be not a single instance of exemption in the world. And if it is so, well, I'll give you a champagne bottle you can show. There isn't it, and there can't be.
Unadulterated champagne bottle. Okay, Robin, I don't, but I asked this question to Mr. Garg. Do you have hope from the insolvency process improving in terms of the price cuts being 95%, 90%? So, is there a solution?
I know, yes. First of all, it's a great thing. Indian entrepreneurs took debt as a gift. They were thinking, I know the gift. Kya karega? I have taken 50,000 crore debt. If I don't pay, RBI, banks will figure out a way out. Since 2018, when IBC has come, Insolvency Banking Code has come, Now they know that if they don't return the money of the bank, and bank money is your and my money, by the way, it's your and my money. If they don't return your and my money, their company will be going for auction. And that's the biggest thinking difference for an entrepreneur. Today, an entrepreneur thinks 100 times before they take it. And they think 1,000 times before they actually don't honor it. Because they know my company will go off for auction. Now, if the auction may 95% haircut, वो दूसरी बात है. But the fact that the entrepreneurs are now going to think honestly and with proper governance, because उसके हाथ में, they took the loan and they exactly know what is to be done. If Mr. Maria knew that 7,500 crores, if I don't return, my Kingfisher Airlines will go away, he wouldn't have done it, I think so. Things have changed. Things have definitely changed. Things have definitely changed in the minds of the entrepreneurs and the managers when they take a loan. It is another matter that loans, these so-called companies which are now going bankrupt are being sold at throwaway price. That's another matter. That's an incidental matter. It's a demand and supply. Nobody wants to pick up a fraud company. Who wants to pick it up? Today, of course, there is a Maramani or Reliance Capital asset Cooper. But be as it may, that means there is something there which they saw. And if an asset which is worth 40,000 crore, they are paying only 2,000, that means उसमें है नहीं. ना उसका asset है, ना उसका goodwill है, ना उसका brand name है. क्यों नहीं? So, Ocean Steel was a fantastic asset, taken over by Tata Steel. Now why? That Ocean Steel was paid 24 or 25,000 crore, because it is real good asset. In fact, in case of Ocean Steel and SR Steel, the banks recovered 75-80% because they had good asset which produces good steel. It was worth paying. But when I go for, let's say, shipping company which has gone bankrupt, was shipped highly. Jahaz hai.
I think, Robin, you're wiser than me. But I think we wrote an editorial saying the process of insolvency. Today we've written another editorial on how insolvency process should be improved, what were the objectives, what has been achieved. But the nature, in the way you declare insolvency for a manufacturing company or an asset base, vis-a-vis services/financial services, there has to be some nuance difference. Because the moment you put that into insolvency, the goodwill of the financial services company. So there has to be...
Good point. As of now, good, bad and ugly, we can argue this cows go home. The law of IBC on insolvency banking code as it exists today, which is very close to Chapter 12, Chapter 11 process in US, which says, if you have taken a loan to the bank, if you have not paid for 90 days, your loan outstanding, you are now walking towards insolvency. Then what they will do? They will give you 330 days more. Discuss with your banks. If within 330 days, if you cannot pay back your loan, auction. That's the process. So, first 90 days, then 330 days. And you can argue saying that service company should be given 760 days, and service company should be given, like I am in the board of SME Chamber of Commerce, we are saying, don't put 90 days, put it 180 days. Oh, awesome. That is okay. But the fact of the matter is, it is putting and bringing discipline into the people who are indisciplined.
And some fear.
Absolutely. So,
the classic saying is, Indian companies are poor, promoters are rich.
I think I have one more question. Possibly two very short questions, please. Yes.
So I have just a small question. As you said that Dabur, Honeycase and all. The company like Nestle having Maggie crisis, then PepsiCo also having Coca-Cola, pesticide use in Coca-Cola and all. So how you say, are those incidences are also corporate frauds?
As the time is short, no. Yes and no, you can say Pepsi or Coca-Cola, their business is taking water from the ground and bottling. That's their business, that's the nature of business. And therefore when they're doing it, the pesticides are already there because the farmers are spraying pesticide, it's getting into the water and the water comes up. When you do RO process, you know that in reverse osmosis process, this pesticide also goes away. So I personally don't think what Nestle did and what Coca-Cola or Pepsi does, it's fraud. It could be a process issue. It could be the business concept issue. And
patent issue also. The patent issue.
It is also patent, yes, but it is not a fraud. I don't think so. I know we can go over the whole night, but I wouldn't say it's a fraud.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
One last question. I know he has a flight to catch, so...
You have a very good point about name and shame. Now, to shame these people, don't you think media can play a part? And if media is purchasable, then the government should come to the right. I'm not, there are exceptions. There are exceptions. No, then the government should have a system where they're exposed. I mean, that's the only way out. Because you're right, name and shame is the only thing that people are scared of.
Yes, the naming shaming has to somehow
Absolutely.
work. And in the society as a whole, we all go together.
I agree.
40, 50 of us today, we are a little more knowledgeable. And these sort of sessions like this, maybe will change the world
But
fast.
gee, the greed. That's the point. Thank you.
Great, thank you. I think this has been a learning experience for me, definitely, and I'm sure the audience as well. Thank you very much. And one round of applause.